There was something wrong in the air before the match even settled. The stadium was loud, but the noise carried a strange weight, like thousands of people were trying to drown out a bad feeling. A bad feeling. Mexico had the lights, the flags, the cameras, and the home crowd pressing down on the pitch from every side. Still, the night never felt clean. Every close-up showed tightened jaws, restless eyes, hands clapping too hard, faces smiling too early. The scoreboard would later say, Mexico won 2-0, and the streets would remember the celebration. Inside the match, something darker moved beneath the surface. The opening night did not unfold like a festival. It felt like a file being opened, one page at a time, revealing pressure, rage, and a victory with fingerprints all over it. The Mexican crowd did not sound like support. It sounded like pressure given a voice. Every chant hit the field like a command. Every misplaced pass pulled a sharp breath from the stands. South Africa were trapped inside that sound, surrounded by green shirts, flashing cameras, and a stadium that seemed to close in with every minute. The pitch felt smaller than it should have. The air looked heavy. Mexico's players carried the weight of millions watching, from homes, bars, streets, and rooftops, all demanding the same thing without saying it softly. Win. Do it now. Make this night safe. That kind of expectation does not sit on the shoulders. It crawls under the skin. Before the first goal, the match already had the mood of a room with no exit. Then Julian Quiñones struck, and the stadium detonated. The ball hit the net. The sound rose like a blast wave, and for a few seconds, everything seemed to break open at once. Arms flew upward, faces twisted into relief. The camera shook through a wall of noise. Mexico had the moment every host dreams of. The first cut into the night. The first proof that the pressure could be turned into something real. Yet when the roar faded, the tension stayed. It did not leave the grass. It lingered around the players, in the pauses, in the late tackles, in the way South Africa stared at the referee, and Mexico looked too hungry for the next wound. The goal should have released the match. Instead, it tightened the chain around it. The first red card arrived like a door slamming shut. One challenge, one whistle, one hand reaching into the pocket. And South Africa's faces changed. The eyes told the story before the card was fully raised. Anger came first, then disbelief, then the cold realization that the match had shifted into a darker place. Their shape did not merely weaken, their nerve began to split. Players argued with the referee, with the air, with each other. Mexico smelled the fracture and moved toward it. The crowd grew sharper, almost predatory, feeding on the panic. After that card, the game lost its early rhythm and became something rougher. Every tackle sounded heavier. Every sprint felt desperate. The grass began to feel less like a field and more like a floor where control was being dragged away. Mexico fed on the chaos, then began to absorb it. The extra space helped them breathe, helped them move, helped them circle South Africa like a team sensing fear. Yet the same chaos that opened the match also stained their own hands. Their passes carried too much force. Their challenges arrived with too much heat. The crowd pushed them forward, and they pushed back harder than they needed to. There was power in Mexico's game, but also a dangerous fever. They were winning inside a match that no longer felt safe. South Africa were slipping, and Mexico stepped closer to the edge with them. That is the most unsettling part of the night. The host did not stand above the disorder. Mexico entered it, used it, breathed it in, and let it touch their own discipline. Raul Jimenez's goal felt different. It did not land like a normal finish. It carried the weight of a man who knows what it means for a career to be interrupted by silence, by impact, by the fragile line between applause and fear. When he scored, the stadium erupted again, yet the moment had a darker pulse underneath it. Jimenez did not celebrate like a player adding a number to the scoreboard. He looked like someone releasing something trapped deep inside him. The goal gave Mexico comfort, and for the crowd, it looked like the night was finally secured. Beneath that comfort was the image of a survivor marking the World Cup, with a scream the cameras could not fully hear. The ball crossed the line, and a past full of pain moved with it. The second red card finished what the first one started. South Africa's collapse became visible in the body language. Shoulders dropped, arms spread in protest. Players stared into empty space as if the match had stopped making sense to them. Their anger had nowhere to go. So it turned inward, leaking into every decision. Passes became rushed, touches became heavy. Challenges came with the panic of men trying to escape a room filling with smoke. Mexico no longer had to force the wound open. South Africa were tearing at it themselves. A World Cup opener can expose a team in ways training never can. Under the lights, under the noise, under the humiliation of losing men one by one. South Africa's composure cracked in public, and the cameras recorded every second of it. Then Cesar Montes was sent off, and the night revealed its most disturbing detail. Mexico had the lead, the crowd, the advantage, the script, and still they found a way to cut themselves. The red card in stoppage time did not change the result, which made it even more chilling. It showed that the match had escaped everyone. No team held it completely. No coach had fully contained it. No scoreboard could make it clean. Mexico had spent the night watching South Africa burn, then reached into the same fire. Montes walking away became the final stain on a victory that should have ended with calm possession and applause. Instead, the last image carried sabotage. A host nation winning comfortably, then leaving proof that pressure could still make its hands shake. Inside the Mexican dressing room, the celebration would have had a strange silence underneath it. Boots on the floor, staff moving carefully, players smiling, then looking away. 3 points were secured, and nobody could take them back. Yet the match left something behind. It sat in the room like a ticking device. The goals brought relief, but the red card remained. The crowd had been satisfied, but the performance had opened a private concern. Mexico had seen how quickly a match could turn savage, and how easily they could be pulled into that savagery. Coaches would speak about discipline. Players would nod. The cameras outside would capture joy. Behind the closed door, the real message was colder. This win had given Mexico oxygen and buried a small bomb under their tournament. South Africa left the pitch damaged. Mexico left it warned. And the World Cup took its first breath with something metallic in the air. The opening night had goals, noise, flags, and celebration. Yet the images that stayed were harsher. Raised cards, furious faces, a survivor's goal, a host nation losing control after the victory was already safe. The stadium tried to dress it as a celebration, but the match had already left marks. On South Africa, it left humiliation. On Mexico, it left suspicion. And on the tournament, it left a smell of blood in the grass. This World Cup has started with a smile on the surface and violence in the margins. The next matches will not soften it. They will sharpen it. Bigger stadiums, louder crowds, more pressure. More bodies thrown into moments they cannot survive cleanly. The beautiful game will still wear its lights, its anthems, its flags, and its perfect camera angles. But underneath all of it, something colder has already begun to move. Mexico walked out with 3 points, but the night kept part of them behind. Somewhere under the lights, the World Cup showed its teeth, and it did not look finished eating. It had only opened its mouth.